The conference hall in Dallas, Texas, buzzed with confidence, polished shoes, and million-dollar smiles. Executives from across the state had gathered for the annual North Star Automotive Innovation Summit, hosted by none other than Billionaire CEO Victoria Hale, a woman famous not only for her fortune, but also for her sharp tongue. At the back of the hall stood Ethan Miller, a quiet single father in his mid-30s. His worn jacket didn't match the tailored suits around him, and his calloused hands gave away years of hard labor. Ethan wasn't there to impress anyone. He was there because his small auto repair shop was on the verge of shutting down, and this summit promised potential contracts. While others networked confidently, Ethan kept glancing at his phone. A message from his neighbor read, "Your daughter's asleep, don't worry." 6-year-old Lily was the reason Ethan kept going. Her mother had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him to juggle parenthood, grief, and survival alone. On stage, Victoria Hale concluded her speech with thunderous applause. As she stepped down, her eyes landed on Ethan, standing awkwardly near a prototype engine display. "Sir," she called out, her voice slicing through the room, "you seem very interested in our engine. Are you an engineer?" The room went quiet. Ethan hesitated, then nodded politely. "I'm a mechanic, ma'am. Been fixing engines for 15 years. A few chuckles echoed. Victoria smirked. "A mechanic," she glanced at his clothes. "From where?" "A roadside garage." Laughter grew louder. Ethan felt heat rush to his face but stayed calm. "Yes, ma'am, I run a small shop." Victoria folded her arms, amused. "Interesting. Since you're so experienced, maybe you can fix what our top engineers couldn't." She tapped the sleek engine beside her. "This prototype overheats under stress. We've spent millions trying to solve it." She leaned closer, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Tell you what, fix this engine and I'll marry you. Deal." The room erupted in laughter. Cameras flashed. Executives whispered. Ethan stood frozen, humiliated in front of people who had never struggled to choose between rent and groceries. Someone muttered, "Single dad probably can't even afford a wrench." Victoria raised her hands dramatically. "Relax, everyone, it's just a joke." But to Ethan, it wasn't a joke. It was a reminder of how invisible he was, how easily dignity could be crushed by power. Slowly, Ethan stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded. "Ma'am," he said, "I don't need jokes or marriage offers. I just need 5 minutes with that engine." The laughter faded. Victoria raised an eyebrow. 5 minutes. She smiled coldly. "Fine, let him try. This should be entertaining." As Ethan rolled up his sleeves and examined the engine, no one noticed the quiet confidence in his eyes. The same confidence that had kept his daughter warm, fed, and hopeful. What no one in that room knew was this. They weren't about to witness a joke. They were about to witness a reckoning. The laughter had barely faded when Ethan Miller leaned closer to the prototype engine. The conference hall, moments ago filled with mockery, now watched in curious silence. He didn't rush. He listened. He placed his hand on the engine casing, closed his eyes, and asked for a wrench. One of the junior engineers hesitated before handing it over. Cameras zoomed in, expecting failure. Ethan removed a panel, exposing a maze of wires and heat shields. "Your cooling system isn't the problem," he said calmly. "It's doing exactly what it was designed to do." Victoria Hale crossed her arms. "Then enlighten us, Mr. Mechanic." Ethan pointed to a narrow exhaust channel. "This channel expands under high stress. When it does, it traps heat instead of releasing it. That's why it overheats after 8 minutes. A murmur rippled through the room. "That's impossible," one senior engineer snapped. "We ran simulations for months." Ethan looked up. "Simulations don't feel vibrations, I do." He adjusted the heat shield slightly, realigning the channel with a small metal spacer he pulled from his pocket. It wasn't fancy, just something he'd crafted years ago while fixing an old pickup truck. "Start it," he said. An engineer hesitated, then turned the ignition. The engine roared to life. Minutes passed, 5, 6, 8. 10 minutes in, the temperature gauge stayed steady. The room went silent. Then someone whispered, "It's not overheating." Victoria's confident smile slowly disappeared. She stepped closer, eyes locked on the monitor. "Run it under load," she ordered. The engine groaned as pressure increased, but the gauge didn't budge. Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then thunderous. Victoria exhaled sharply. For the first time that day, she looked at Ethan not as a joke, but as a man. "You fixed in 10 minutes what my team couldn't in a year," she said quietly. "How?" Ethan wiped his hands. "When you can't afford to replace parts, you learn to listen to what's already there." The room fell quiet again, this time with respect. Victoria straightened. "I owe you an apology," she said into the microphone, "and I keep my word." Gasps echoed. She turned to Ethan. "No, I won't marry you," she added quickly. Nervous laughter followed. "But I will offer you something better." She announced a 7-figure consulting contract, full access to North Star's research lab, and funding to reopen and expand Ethan's struggling garage, under his name. Ethan shook his head. "I only need enough to keep my shop running and take care of my daughter." Victoria paused, visibly shaken. "Then we'll do it your way." By the end of the day, headlines spread across Texas. "Single dad mechanic humiliates billion-dollar company with one simple fix." That night, Ethan picked up Lily and carried her into their small apartment. "Did you fix the engine, Daddy?" she asked sleepily. He smiled. "Yeah, sweetheart, I did." And for the first time in years, Ethan knew something else had been fixed too. Not just an engine, but his future.